In this video, I'm going to show you how to automate 100% of your podcast post-production with tools that we use managing 40 podcasts at any point in time. Podcasting is one of the most powerful mediums to build authority, connect with your audience, and grow your brand. But let's face it, the behind the scenes can be quite overwhelming. Editing, transcription, promotional assets, it all adds up, leaving little time for what truly matters, creating great content. And in this video, I'll show you tools that will completely transform your workflows. From recording to sharing on social media, through editing, and even making the quality of your whole podcast much, much better. This tool can handle it all, saving you hours of manual work each and every week. So let's talk about the first tool. So first up is Riverside, the tool that I'm using at this very moment to record this video. But that's the thing, this tool is not only designed for recording, but also for editing and simplifying your entire post-production process. Imagine a platform that can enhance your audio, automatically remove silences, and generate high-quality episodes from your recordings with just a click. Riverside's magic episodes will indeed allow you to compile a full episode with minimal effort. This means that you can go from raw recording to a polished episode in record time. For podcasters looking to save hours of editing, this tool is a no-brainer. So let's actually have a look. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to actually go into the right studio where you have recorded your episode. So in my case, we will have a look at my recording with Terry Holland, which is an upcoming guest, though when this video is going to go live, it will already be a live episode. But so the whole point is you click here to access the studio where you have your recordings. And then you have the different projects because you can create several within the same studio. But what we want to do here is to click on this one where I have my recording with Terry. Next, you want to go to full episode just here, as this feature literally allows you to create a full episode with just one click. So let's do it. And here we go. We see that we have our episode here. So full episode, it's the little label here. And you already noticed that the total video is 41 minutes, 10 seconds, whilst the complete recording is actually 43 minutes and 8 seconds. So Riverside has already worked its magic, but let's go a little bit further into it. So here what Riverside did is that it's already worked a form of editing onto the episode directly. So what we want and can see is, first of all, the format of the episode, right? So here we want to select the 16:9 because this is the format that works the most. And of course, the screenshot here is reflecting perfectly my face, but we're not gonna about that for too long. So an amazing thing is that you can actually go through the script and remove parts that you want to be removed yourself. So let's say, for instance, I want to remove this section about our conscious mind. I just have to select this and click on delete, and there we go. It has been removed from the episode. We see that it has gone from 41:10 seconds to 41 minutes and 1 second because I have removed this part. So it's a particularly good section, so I'm actually do a Control-Z because I want to keep this section. Other things that we could do. So let's look at the whole editing. First of all, you see that we can see different parts of the episode. So in pink, you have me talking, and in green, you have Terry Holland talking. You can add some music if you'd like. In this case, we are not going to do this, but that's pretty easy. Just upload a file in here. What we want to look into is AI producer here. So something amazing from Riverside is that you can set pace. So you can automatically remove pauses and improve conversation flow. And here you can actually choose what type of pace you want for your episode. So sometimes Riverside can be a bit clunky, so I recommend you to review the final version of the episode before you hit publish. But you can definitely say, okay, look, I want to keep all the pauses in, or I want any silence of more than 3 seconds to be removed to make it a bit more fast-paced, right? But you can also say, no, look, I want a super punchy, go for it episode where we remove all the pauses. So here it's totally up to you depending on the style that you want, and it will actually indicate the amount saved based on the pauses that you remove. I do not necessarily recommend super fast, right? Because that's really going to remove any pause, and that's actually what you want to have in a podcast. Right? A normal paced conversation as if somebody was sitting next to you, listening to two experts and friends talking. But hey, if that's your style, you can go for it. What I like is to make it somewhere between natural and balanced. So we're going to say we want balanced for this one. And here we go. Riverside is again working its magic. So now we have a balanced episode. So that's for the set space. Now you can actually say, hey, I want to smoothen the speech. I want Riverside to remove filler words and unwanted sounds. So here we are going to do apply, and it's automatically gonna remove all the ums, the ams, the filler words if they are too often used. But you can actually revert this if you'd like. So here we go. Here I have put back everything in place, and here I want to apply it again, which is absolutely fantastic. So another thing that we couldn't apply that I've just fixed is magic mute here, because when we asked Riverside to generate a full episode, it automatically muted people when they weren't speaking to avoid any background noise or any breathing noise, whatever it is that could, get in the way of having the highest level of audio quality possible. Riverside takes care of this automatically. So here we're going to revert it, but just so you know, you can actually say, hey, anybody that is not talking, I want it to be completely mute. So something else I want us to look into before we actually click on tracks here, we can actually go in the menu here and click on this little button, which is expanding tracks, so we can work individually on each audio files. And you see when Terry has been muted and when I have been muted as well, which is quite powerful. So then we can go into tracks, and here is just basically looking into, hey, okay, do I want to, in case Terry had a higher setup for the volume in the recording, do I want to lower the sound? Do I want to increase the sound, or vice versa for me? You can also say, hey, I want to enhance the audio only of Terry, but not of Guillaume, because he already has an awesome microphone, or the other way around, right? If you know that your microphone is not of the highest quality, but your guests do have, to make sure that there's not a too big discrepancy, you can actually activate Magic Audio for one, but not the other. So again, super powerful, and only takes one click. Another thing that you can do with Riverside is actually add some interactive pieces and elements into the recording directly. So if you want to add a logo, a color palette, some titles even, you can directly by clicking on brand. So here, that's not what we want to do necessarily, because I want to keep it raw, right? But that's something that you can directly put into the recording if that's something you want. Another interesting thing is different layout, right? So what we want to do and what we always recommend is smart screen. The reason is, so what smart screen will do is it will sometimes edit the episode with only one camera, sometimes the two, always focusing on the person that speaks. Obviously, it's not gonna look into a screen of a person that is not talking, but you want to make it a bit more interactive, right? You want to make it much more diverse so that people get their attention returned. So super important to have the smart screen enabled. And then we get into other aspects of the platform which are handy but much less powerful than the first four, but worth looking into as well. So you can add some music directly, free of rights, which is very important. You can add captions and choose a bit the setup that you want, and you can set up your own. You can have additional uploads and so on and so forth, and add images into this. If you want to record additional pieces of content, such as an introduction, you can directly, and then you will be able to put that back in. So here, rolling out the red carpet, proposing me to record something new that I will be able to add at the recording. We're not going to do this now for the sake of the length of this video, but just so you know, this is a possibility, and this is something that you can do for intro and outro whilst having the episode fresh in your mind because you just worked on it. So Riverside, definitely recommend. And I'm recording with Riverside right now, which is why it's showing me this. But if I wasn't recording this video on Riverside, it would allow me to do so. Tools number 2 is Opus Clip. And this tool, as you might have guessed already, purely focuses on social media clips, which has become a super important part of podcasting. Not that it will necessarily bring you a lot of new downloads, but it will actually allow you to make the most out of your podcast, to grow a brand outside of the podcast platforms, and to feed content to your social media team, or just for yourself, if you're a one-man band, to put on social media and create a brand and authority there as well, which is super powerful and something that only podcasting allows. So when it comes to Opus Pro, here again, you can just put a recording that you want to create clips from. But the super good thing about Opus is that you can actually upload a live YouTube video. If you have the paid version, you can upload a stream from Twitch if you record your episodes live on Twitch. So it's a super good platform. But instead of talking about it, let's have a look. All right, a small disclaimer before we deep dive into Opus. So I find Opus Clip an amazing tool that allows you to just, pump out content. But sometimes that's the only thing that it will do. Like to actually get high amount of views consistently, but most importantly, to have a strategy around, okay, what are we making out of those views? You need to create content, get instant feedback from the community, see what works, see what doesn't, what does get views, why, is it the hook, is it the content selected, is it the level of editing, and learn from that to get more and more results for your specific podcast and your specific niche. That is something that Opus Clip will not do, right? Opus will just say, hey, here are 20 clips out of your episode that you can publish. It will sometimes offer a caption that is not very good and often looks a lot like AI, which is normal. So that's the thing. Opus Clip is amazing because it allows you to save lots and lots of time, but you will not necessarily get high results with it. You will just be able to put out content, which for a lot of podcasters is enough. But that's the only thing that I wanted to mention. All right, let's get into it. All right, so the second thing that you need to do is to upload your file. Once more, you can just choose to, select a video from YouTube, from any platform that you like. In our case, we've taken the episode from Terry, right? The ones that we've just seen in Riverside. So now that we have uploaded our file, let's get some clips. Okay, so the first thing that Opus will ask you is actually some questions to refine a bit the type of content that they will be doing for you. So for us, we're obviously going to say solo entrepreneurs. We're going to say, okay, we want to do podcasts mainly. Go next. Sorry, this little pop-up won't go off. It is my own content, right? In case you're doing it for a client or a company that's different. But so for us, it's like my own content. And let's say I have a novice level of experience. So I'm clicking on here. And here we're going to see that the processing is going to take a few minutes. So I'll see you again in a few minutes. But thanks to the magic of editing, it's going to be in 1 second. Ready? And here we go. I love editing. Here we are with our different clips. So as you see, Opus has created dozens and dozens of clips, which is absolutely amazing in essence, right? You're getting like with one simple click and a bit of waiting time, you're getting like a couple dozen clips, which is amazing. So the work that you need to do now is very little, right? Because you can literally say, okay, I want this clip and put it on my different channels. You can actually also post them directly from Opus, you can edit them and so on and so forth. So a few things that I want to talk about when it comes to Opus Clip. So first of all, you should curate a bit which clip you're going to select to put on your social media channels because some are not of the best quality. You also need to pay attention to not having subtitles on your original video, right? So that when you upload it into Opus, you don't have like an overlap, which is exactly the mistake that we did here. Because with the one that we edited on Riverside, we had subtitles. That's an important thing. You don't want to have an overlap. See, we see here in green the subtitles from Opus and the ones from Riverside here. So that overlaps a bit. That's not amazing. So here again, you want to select whatever clips are the best. You can edit them yourself. So here for that, you will need to purchase the paid version of Opus. But apart from that, that is pretty much it. You can go ahead and just schedule your different clips as you wish. And it's totally for free. But so here is a small list of the things that you can do if you choose to pay for Opus. So here we created a new account for the sake of this video, so we cannot see it directly, but I'm going to list them very quickly. So you can actually change captions and highlight specific keywords, which is something that you want to do to retain visual attention. You can cut or trim the video yourself as well, right? If you feel that some sequences are not perfectly edited, you can trim them yourself. You can add transitions, voiceovers, and B-rolls to enhance your clip using AI. So that's again super important to retain visual attention. You can of course incorporate stock B-rolls for additional visuals, and my personal favorite is AI Enhance. With this, you can actually improve speech clarity. So there is a bit of an overlap here between Riverside and Opus, but that's something that you can do if you haven't recorded with Riverside, for instance. You can also remove filler words, right, to have a more punchy short form video, and you can eliminate pauses to create a faster paced video. So on this specific one, that's something that you absolutely want to do when it comes to short form content. So when it comes to podcasts, you want to have a natural flowing conversation, right? That's the premise of this specific format. That's something you want to leverage because that allows people to feel like, they are listening to you as if they were sitting next to you, as said before. When it comes to short form content though, it is quite different. Here you want to have a very punchy, very fast paced piece of content so people will have their attention grabbed and get delivered lots of information very quickly. You cannot afford having small pauses during your short form content. So super, super important one. So here again, you can explore much more customization in Opus Pro directly. You can play with the tool. It's absolutely amazing when it comes to creating content. But the whole idea is to automate 100%. So the more time you spend in here, the less automated it is. But that is a very viable option. Oh, and last but certainly not least about Opus. So if you're going for the free version, you might have a watermark about Opus Clip, right, that you cannot really remove. So pay attention to this. Honestly, if you are getting into automation, Opus Clip is $15 per month. So definitely something that you might want to consider because that's as expensive as a podcast hosting platform. But here it allows you to really distribute social media content on all the platforms. And it's really, really, really good. Tool number 3 is Cast Magic to automate written content creation. So here we've looked into how to edit an episode, right? Make it a banger. We've looked into social media clips, right? Which is something that a lot of podcasters want to do because it's so efficient to just, put some social media clips on social media. But what about titles, show notes, articles, and other written pieces of content that are also critical to make a podcast successful? This is exactly what Cast Magic allows us to do. So let's get into it. So now you might be thinking, hey, wait, but what's the difference between, uploading my transcript into ChatGPT and using Cast Magic? Well, the thing is with ChatGPT, you will have to do lots of prompting, right, to get it pretty good. You need to do a lot of additional work. And here, remember, the idea is to automate 100% of your podcast post-production efforts. So Cast Magic, when it comes to written content, is much better in that sense. All right, so once you have been through the subscriptions, through the registering, and through the upload of your file into Cast Magic, like I just did, which actually took 30 minutes in real life, but a few seconds for you in the video, you arrive here into your recordings and we can start working on our file. So let's click here on the file that we just uploaded, and then you're going to get access to a whole bunch of tools that you can leverage. So if we look at create content first, right, because this is why we are here, this is where you can start. You get a little ping by a Blaine, which is not unwelcome, but not for now. So you're going to get a little generating buffer. And the first thing that you can see is some titles propositions, which is absolutely amazing. So you can see a bit what is possible in terms of naming of your episodes. Now, this is clearly some AI generated titles, and this is going to be true for all the pieces of content created here. Be mindful that you're not releasing content by AI for AI, you're releasing content for humans, right? And I think that we've noticed a lot with AI-generated title is that that's something that ChatGPT loves to do. It's like a few words, colon, and rest of the sentence. This is not how we typically propose people to craft titles at GHA Marketing. We tend to focus on this type of title. So how Terry Holland's podcast evolved from personal outlet to global influencer. What you want to do basically with the title is to hook attention, trigger curiosity, trigger emotions. The title starting with how to, the secret of 7 reasons why, 5 ways to, here is why you. Those are triggers that will make people want to click more. If you start with navigating success or Terry Holland's blueprint for success, well, first of all, not all my audience might know Terry Holland, right? So putting the name of the guest at the very beginning is not ideal. Mindset mastery. Those are all words that at the end of the day don't mean a lot, right? This is not how you hook attention. So that's the only disclaimer that I would put on the titles. Be sure to select something that will actually trigger curiosity and attract attention and potentially refine it, right? You can definitely modify the title afterwards. So the great thing about Cast Magic is that you can also ask the type of content that you want to create, right? So you can do amazing things with this stuff. But let's first have a look at the different things that we want to look into. So keywords, this is targeted at SEO optimization, right? It's not necessarily needed, but there's definitely a list of keywords that you can put at the very end of the show notes. That's not what we recommend, but for the podcast platforms, it can be interesting. For the speaker's bio, so here it's again the tool gonna work its magic and come up with the speaker's bio. So you can definitely leverage this, but make sure that it didn't hallucinate. So maybe either preset the prompt or run it through ChatGPT and say, hey, do not hallucinate and tell me if this description of Terry Holland is actually accurate. And then you can have have a whole bunch of other tools, so such as an introduction, right? So you can record an introduction in Riverside using the tool provided in Castmagic. You also have some timestamps, overviews. So this is absolutely fantastic. What we tend to recommend is not to have more than 4 or 5 bullet points of what's in the episode. So same goes for the timestamps. You don't want to have like a few dozens timestamps. You want to have 4 or 5 for people to be able to choose from. But like too much choices kills the choices and people might not just take action. When it comes to questions, so this is not something we use a lot, but that's something that you can use, right? To put as many questions in a Twitter thread or even in the show notes, but that's not going to do a huge difference. And here we start getting into the interesting things. So key topics and bullets. So this is the thing that you want to leverage for the description as well, right? Being able to say, hey, we work on the unconscious mind. We talk about the impact of information overload and so on and so forth. So this can be very, very powerful. Then we start getting into clip finder, quotes, hooks, and timestamps. So here you see a bit of overlap with what we did in Opus Clip and in Riverside as well. What you want to look into is, hey, maybe there are some interesting clips here that I can go back to Opus Clip with and see if there is an overlap here that could be interesting. You can also use quotes for a LinkedIn post or a actual short form content. Real script, so here it's if you want to record something additional based on the episode, right? So it gives you a text that you can just then record and actually put as a short announcing the episode. But the real power of Castmagic, in my opinion, is the LinkedIn post. So LinkedIn is a very particular platform and you want to tackle it a different manner than you are tackling all the other short form platforms, especially. So on LinkedIn, you want to have a good course of text that will actually provide value to the audience. And this is what Castmagic does. So here again, you might want to consider actually editing the text, right? Not just send it right away like this, because it tends to speak a lot like an AI, but you have already a very, very solid base just by the click of a button into a LinkedIn post. A newsletter, same thing. So here again, something that you can send to your email list and saying, hey, I've interviewed Terry Holland. Here is everything we talked about. If you want to go and listen to the episode, boom, call to action towards the episode. And that's something that it does, and that is absolutely fantastic. Twitter thread, here again, something that you can leverage to just, do a tweet blast and something very, very promising if your audience is on there. And that's pretty much it. With all these different pieces of content, you can actually come up with pretty decent show notes, or you can actually ask Castmagic. So let's do this. Please create 3 examples of show notes. And here we're going to see Castmagic working that's it, magic. And boom, here we go. We have in a few seconds 3 different examples actually highlighted as brief, detailed, and story focused of the episode. So I really like a lot the brief one where we actually get key topics and a call to action to connect with Terry. I would potentially improve that a bit with timestamps and making sure that we have the links towards the different social media platforms of each speaker, mine included, and maybe as well the speaker's bio, right? So instead of just explaining, hey, in this episode we talk about this, but also have something around the speaker bio itself. And this is it for Castmagic. I definitely recommend go and play with this tool. There are plenty of amazing more things to do. And you can really prompt whatever you want and see the type of output that it will give you that you can then refine and work on better. And to finish this list of tools, something that I wanted to quickly touch upon that we're not going to deep dive into because that's really to look into the podcast post-production part of things. But if you want to automate even further, I recommend you a tool called Zapier. With Zapier, you're going to be able to connect different tools to make sure that, hey, when an episode has actually been produced in Riverside, send it automatically to Opus Clip to create some short form content, and then also send it to Castmagic to actually create the show notes, the titles, and so on. And you can even connect it to your podcast hosting platform to say, once all those assets have been created, just publish everything on the podcast platforms and the social media platforms as well. So Zapier takes a bit of setup to be done. It's also not super straightforward, but quite easy if you spend a couple of hours into it, and that really allows you to automate everything. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, right? Bear in mind that you really want to have a look before you publish stuff, right? The idea is not to automate everything, but just to put out the best content possible and to gain time and efficiency when you are post-producing everything. But you want to have a look at every piece of content created, ideally, to be able to control and make sure that it is on brand and it actually brings value to the audience. All right, and to finish, I just want to put out a little disclaimer. Once more, those three tools, Riverside, Opus Clip, and Cast Magic, are absolutely fantastic to make you gain, as you've seen, hours and hours in editing and resources as well, right? Because this is somebody that you do not have to pay to do all this. Now, this doesn't guarantee a high-performing episode and video and different assets, right? Which is what you need to bear in mind. At the end of the day, you're doing the podcast not just to spend as little time as possible on it, although that could be an objective, but you want the podcast to help as many people as possible, to get in front of as many people as possible. And when you're automating everything, you lose a bit control over the quality. So it's super good and important to have some automations in place. But as we do in-house, you want to have somebody checking every piece of content and assets according to very specific standards to be able to say, hey, one, this is aligned with the brand of the podcast that you're looking into, and this is content that is targeted for humans, and everything is going in that direction. So the titles are human-based, the call to actions are human-based, the written pieces of content doesn't sound like AI, and so on and so forth. This is super, super important. So again, think of those tools as a way to streamline all your workflows and gain efficiencies, but not as the thing to let do everything. And don't look ever again at your podcast, because that might translate into lower performance ultimately. So which one of those tools are you going to actually use? Let me know in the comments. Curious to hear your feedback and if that video was actually useful. And if you found it useful, here is my call to action for you. Don't forget to comment the video, like it, and ideally subscribe so you do not miss any future videos. You can also activate the little bell to make sure to receive a notification whenever I release an episode. I'm always going to produce content on this YouTube channel that is going to help you have a better podcast, get more listens, get more downloads, and ultimately make more money with your show. Cheers.